the gates and ready to go. Welcome into this live edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. Coming up on today's show, we'll go over the latest news and rumors on your Kansas City Chiefs as we have a number of free agent re-signings to catch you up on coming up. And we'll also talk draft in a bit as we will go over the top 30 visits that we know so far to this point. We'll highlight a couple players for you in the second segment of today's show. Also, we'll take a look at the updated depth chart for your Kansas City Chiefs. If they had to take the field tomorrow, what would it look like? We'll break that down. And we'll do a Q&A rumors mailbag. Get your questions in using hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. Go ahead and start getting in those questions now. As you guys file in, shout out your city. We'll shout you out as we get this show off and rolling. We're coming at you from the Chat Sports Studios here at downtown Dallas, Texas, on this very fine Tuesday afternoon where we are chilling and dilling like street millings on penicillin. That's what they say, right? Let us know where you guys are at. I got Tony always here with us. He doesn't miss a live show. He's in El Paso. Got Paul in Tonganoxie. Got Clutch Prod in Richmond. David Buck in the house, no relation to Joe Buck in San Antonio, Texas. I got Gary in Secaucus, New Jersey. I got Pinto Fire in Pacific, Missouri. Got Lisa Cheney in Parsons, Kansas. Where else we at, everybody? Let me know in the chat right now. Shout out your city and tell us where you're watching from. Guillermo is in St. Louis, where I'm glad to say he's adopted the Chiefs and doesn't have to root for the St. Louis Rams. You know, they've moved on past us now. Corey is in Enid, Oklahoma. Enid, very good town. My buddy Clint Shelf, former Oklahoma State quarterback. He's from Enid. Let's see. We got Leslie's in Augusta, Kansas. Got Paul in KC Mo checking in. Appreciate you all being here with us. Who is a player the Chiefs should sign in NFL free agency? We are in the third week of free agency now. Who is a player that you would like to see end up in Kansas City? We've seen a lot of re-signings. We haven't seen a whole lot of new faces join the Chiefs here in free agency to this point. There's still ways to go in this free agency cycle. Who is somebody that you'd like to see? Tony says he wants the Chiefs to sign Stephon Diggs. That's a very good choice there, Tony. I think that would get a lot of people excited if they sign Stephon Diggs. Who's a player that you'd like to see the Chiefs sign? Give me a name. Paul is already talking draft. Paul, we're not on the draft yet. We're talking free agency, although he says Josh Simmons. Frank is checking in from Gladstone, Missouri. Nafis says Tyler Lockett. Paul says Tyler Lockett. I'm surprised Tyler Lockett is still out there, that he hasn't been signed by a team at this point. But, yeah, the Chiefs seem to be a possibility potentially. Give us a name that you'd like to see the Chiefs sign in free agency, and let us know in the chat. Big Tex is here with me. He is on the ones and twos, and we are pleased to welcome him in now to the show. Our great friend, doing a great job as always. Big Tex hanging out here with us. Big Tex, how are we doing on this Tuesday, my guy?
I'm doing good, man. Yourself?
I'm doing well. What's new in Big Tex's universe?
You know, same old, same old. Not too much new, you know, trying to keep working out, trying to, you know, be a good employee here at Chat Sports.
Making Tony proud, right?
What's up?
Making Tony proud, working out, being a good employee.
Pushing myself every time in the gym, looking up to Tom Platz as a fitness leader. Shout out, Tony.
Who is Tom Platz, by the way?
Oh, Tom Platz?
Yes.
Yeah, great question. Nickname, the Quad Father.
Okay.
He's kind of the guy who got me into like going to leg day and taking that serious with my own workout routine. And he's a former bodybuilder. He just had massive legs because he would squat and he would take it really serious and he would covet that and kind of, I don't know, he had like a whole persona around like squatting and how important it was. It was hard to do, so that's why a lot of people didn't do it. But if you do it, it makes you push through that barrier in your mental and all this stuff. So, yeah. So Tony, check him out.
Tony, so
seriously,
you need to check this guy out.
Look him up on YouTube, Tony. Look up Tom Platz, Raiden Motivation. and then watch that before you go to the gym for a leg day, and it'll change your life.
There you go.
There you go.
Tony, you're wanting workout advice from Big Tex. You
That's
got it
right.
right there. If you would like a shout-out from Big Tex, spam C in the chat. This will kind of wake up the algorithm a bit, let people know we're here. We're bringing you this live edition of the Chiefs Report. I want to see as many C's as we can over this next minute, and let's wake people up, let them know we're here. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Mike, Tony, Guillermo, Tony, Guillermo, David, Tony, Guillermo, David, Guillermo, David, Paul, Mike, Tony, David, Paul, David, Nafis, Mike, Paul, Tony, David, Paul, Corey, David, Paul, Guillermo, Nafis, Paul. Get those C's in there.
Let's get some new names.
Tony, seriously, Mike, Tony, Paul, Nafis, Mike. I'm only seeing these few. Let's get some more. Let's get some C's in there. Tony, Paul, David, Rio, Nafis, David, Tony. I'm still seeing the same people. Come on, guys. Paul, Tony, there we go. We're getting a different Paul.
We got a
at
new
least.
Paul.
There, that counts. David, Paul 1, Paul 2, Nafis, David,
10
Tony,
seconds.
Paul the second, David, Tony, Paul the first, Gabriel, Paul the second, David, Paul the first, Gabriel, Joseph, Paul, Tony, and Paul the first.
There
A bunch of
go.
times.
Nice work, everybody. Thanks for getting in the chat.
I didn't ask for multiple kinds of people. I just asked for more people. So I guess 2 Pauls is technically more people.
2 Pauls.
Two Pauls.
2 Pauls better than 1 Paul.
That's right.
Paulie, want a cracker? There you go. You got 2 crackers for you. We're at 22 likes right now. I need to get to 30 to start today's show. There's 23. If you're ready to start today's edition of the Chiefs Report, if you're excited to be hanging out here with us, then hit that like button, and we'll get this show started. Corey says, I would like to see an all-Chiefs segment. I don't know what that means. We're talking all Chiefs all day. They're all Chiefs segments here today, Corey. 3 more likes, and then we'll start today's show. Tony said he's doing his cardio after the show today. So on your way to the gym, Tony, go watch that video. Maybe while you're in the car or something,
That's right. And you better have done your weights in the morning if you're going to do your cardio later. You better not be pairing them together. We had this conversation,
Yes.
Tony, last time.
Yes,
Come on now.
It's a dangerous route.
That's right. Got to be careful.
Stranger danger.
Can't lose those gains.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Nafis says, Tyler Jones, I really appreciate you telling us the news. Hey, I'm glad to do it. It's like my job or something. Corey saying all-time Chiefs players. Well, if you got a question, you can of who my all-time Chiefs players are, send it in the mailbag using hashtag Chiefs or Super Chatting. I will say we got a video going out on our main channel sometime in the next couple days. We went around the room and they asked, who is the worst draft pick of all time for your team? I said for the Chiefs, Todd Blackledge was my answer that I gave for the Chiefs. Todd Blackledge, if you were around in 83 in the 80s, those were not good memories. Those were not good times of the Todd Blackledge era. And now he's doing TV for NBC, calling college football and NFL games. And I don't think people were too happy to see him calling that Chiefs-Texans game earlier this year. There we go. Weird's 30 likes. If you got a question for me for the mailbag, easiest way to do so is by sending a super chat, $ next to the chat box, or using hashtag Chiefs, and we will get your questions in the mailbag. I don't need statements. I need actual questions that you have for me. Put those in the mailbag, and we will answer them coming up in the final segment of today's show. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. So if you got something you want to sound off on, particularly I want to see some trade ideas, use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat, and we'll include those coming up later on in just a bit. Here is what's coming up ahead on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. We'll go over the latest news and rumors on your Kansas City Chiefs as we have some roster moves to get to. Also, we'll talk draft, the top 30 visits, the names we know so far. We'll go over those coming up later on. We also have an updated depth chart. If the Chiefs had to take the field tomorrow, what would it look like? We'll examine that. And then we'll do a Q&A rumors mailbag. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of the show. Joseph, that's a great question. You didn't use hashtag Chiefs. hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. We'll include that in the mailbag. Joseph, be like Tony. Tony's got it right, and Tony's got a good question, believe it or not. We'll have that in the mailbag segment coming up later on. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat if you want to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. Super Chat menu as well. If you would like to Super Chat us, here is what we have for our friends. First-time Super Chatters get the KC chant. $5, I'll give you a beer cheers. Got some Miller on hand, ready to go. $10 to take some shots. $20 get bean boozled. And $50 we will get out the beer bong in all its glory. So if you want to Super Chat, then we'll pay that off accordingly here on today's show. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our first segment. We got some roster updates to get to of some players that have been re-signed. You'll want to change that L3 that said updated depth chart. Yeah. There we go. All right, without further ado, let's get started. Our first segment, roster moves. That begins here on this live edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, starting right now. We have some movement, folks. Some of your favorite Kansas City Chiefs players are making their return in 2025. We'll tell you who those individuals are coming up on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. Thanks for joining us. Before we go any further in today's show, folks, you may recall we started the month by doing a sub-battle between our fellow AFC West division channels here at Chat Sports. And I am pleased to report we are winning this sub-battle against the Raiders Report and Broncos Breakdown at 869 subs. Nice. Broncos 827, Raiders at 815. We still have several more days in the month of March to finish this thing strong, folks. So don't slow down, sub it up, stay up to date with everything happening with your favorite team. We're talking free agency, draft, trades, breaking news, Q&A mailbags, live shows, sometimes 2 and 3 videos a day here on the channel. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/ChiefsTV, and we'll get started with today's show. We are in the third week of NFL free agency, and we continue to see more movement for the Kansas City Chiefs of players that they are bringing in, players they've moved on from. So let's tell you what the latest moves are to this point. We start with Mike Caliendo. The offensive guard has been re-signed. He started the last few regular season games, and then he, of course, started in the postseason as well with Joe Thuney moving over to the left tackle position. Did a pretty decent job. He's re-signed, and he's back. And I'm glad to have him back in Kansas City. I don't know exactly what his role's going to be, if he's going to be a starter or a backup. But nonetheless, he has shown enough that he is at least very worthy of a position, and he can be counted upon if they need him to step up in a short-term role. I think it makes a ton of sense to bring Mike Caliendo back on that front. Mike Pennell also makes his return. He's been re-signed at the defensive tackle position. And I don't know how many people know this, but Mike Pennell is coming off the best season of his career. He's played for a couple of different teams here and there. He's had some flashes at moments throughout his career, but 2024 was a bit of a breakout season for him. And with the Chiefs having some question marks on the defensive line, this is a welcome return to have Mike Pennell back in the fold there. And then also re-signed, Marlon T is back. The former Philadelphia Eagles player, joined the Chiefs late last year. He makes his return. And although he hasn't done a ton, I would say that there are no complaints about this signing here. I don't have any problem with him coming back at all and having him compete for a roster spot on that front. What is your one-word reaction to the Chiefs roster moves? I'll give you my one-word reaction coming up in just a moment. I want to hear from you guys first. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Let us know what your one-word reaction is to the Chiefs roster moves. My one word is sneaky. These are all under-the-radar signings. These are not moves that the national media is going to pay much attention to, but they are still important for the Kansas City Chiefs of what they're doing here, bringing back players that add depth to some key positions. And it goes back to the theme that we've talked about on this show for quite some time of letting Brett Veach cook. He knows where to find the diamonds in the rut. He knows how to get those pieces that maybe not everybody's paying attention to that can be difference makers and help out this team and not cost a ton either. So I think Brett Veach continues to do a very good job on that front. And the thing I like about all three of these, you're not breaking the bank with them either with these three moves the Chiefs have made here. You're adding depth, you're returning players that can make an impact, and you're not having to pay them a ton of money on a team that doesn't have much money to spend. I think it's very good of what Brett Veach is doing with this bunch. Let's start with Mike Caliendo, who makes his return, the offensive guard who started at the left guard spot for Kansas City when they moved Joe Thuney over to the left tackle position. And I'll say this about Mike Caliendo, he got better as the year went along, game by game. His Pro Football Focus numbers continued to improve from what they were from his first start to his final start there in the Super Bowl. Two-time Super Bowl champion, 25 career games played with 3 regular season starts. His grades, they don't tell the full story as far as his impact goes. He ended the year last year with an offensive grade of 49, a pass block grade of 45.1, and a run block grade of 45.6. Now, I don't know if he's going to be a starter for the Chiefs this next season or not. Personally, I don't want him starting. I think that the Chiefs can find a better option at that left guard spot. I know there's been rumblings about Kingsley playing that position or maybe finding somebody in the draft. But at the very least, I'll take Mike Caliendo on my team as a reserve and as a backup option if need be. I don't think he's a bad fit at all in that sense. Now, let's ask you, should Mike Caliendo start at guard for the Kansas City Chiefs? Y for yes, N for no. Get in that comment section. Tell me what you think if Mike Caliendo should start or not. Y for yes, N for no. Weigh in. Let us know what you think. Got a great deal we're offering Chiefs fans right now. Polos are on sale for up to 50% off. Chatsports.com/Chiefs Polos is where you can get those today. We got the red, we got the gray, we got the stripes, all sorts of different versions for you. Chatsports.com/Chiefs Polos is where you can get those today. We also have other Chiefs merchandise available as well at that same link. Go check it out. Take advantage of it. Only for a limited time. 50% off at chatsports.com/Chiefs Polos to get yours now. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Let's move on now and talk about Mike Pennel. Mike Pennel, he's been a journeyman. He's played for the Bears, Falcons, Patriots, Jets, and Packers, but most recently part of 2 Super Bowl championships with the Kansas City Chiefs. Ton of experience in his career with 138 career games played with 25 starts. And with Mike Pennel, too, one of the things for me that I see is you look at this, the way the rotation goes with this defensive line, with trying to find some key pieces to get involved here with this group. I think that you look at Mike Pennel and you say, hey, I can find a spot for him that, you know, whether it's giving a couple plays off to some guys or being an impact player, every team I think can use a Mike Pennel. And here's what I mean as far as last year being his best season, 3 sacks, 25 tackles, 3 TFLs. Based on the numbers we saw previously, who saw that coming? It was a welcomed breakout season for Mike Pennel at this point in his career with a forced fumble and 2 QB hits compared to what he had done the last 3 seasons. I don't know if it's going to stay, but if he can put up those numbers as a rotational guy, I think that every team could use a Mike Pennel on their team potentially. I'm glad to have him back in Kansas City. How would you grade the Chiefs roster moves of what they've done here this go-round? A, B, C, D, or F? Get in that comment section. Let us know what your grade would be for the roster moves that they've added to this point here in this latest go-around. ABCDRF, weigh in the comments section, let us know. Next up, let's talk about Marlon T., the 2021 sixth-round pick out of USC by the Eagles. He joined the Chiefs last season, was mostly a practice squad player, 30 career games played with 2 starts in his career. And this is somebody that the Chiefs are saying, hey, we've seen potential, we've seen some highlights. Why not give you a shot to see if he could potentially do more and be a surprise player? And I don't think there's any risk in this whatsoever. His career stats, he's had 3 sacks, 4 QB hits, 5 TFLs, and 47 tackles. I don't hate it. I think bottom line with him, it just can't hurt you to go this route and bring him back and give him another chance to see what he could potentially do on that front. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. For continuing Chiefs offseason coverage, subscribe now to the channel for free. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time. All right. So we continue now. Let's ask you, should Mike Caliendo be a starting guard for the Chiefs? Y for yes, in for no. I was checking in on the chat earlier. Slammin' Sam is back. He said no. Mike Monkey said no. Mr. Monkey. Paul said no. Tony's saying yes. Tony, I don't know about that one, Jim. I don't know. I think you're the only one that's saying yes on that front. Terrence is saying no. Seems to be about everybody but Tony is saying no to that idea. Super Chat menu. First-time Super Chatters get the KC chant. $5, we'll do a beer cheers. $10, take some shots. $20, get bean boozled. $50, we'll do a beer bong. Jay is saying, hell no. Hell no. I don't blame you, Jay. I don't blame you, Jay. Thanks for us getting in the chat and answering that for us. Up next, we will get to the draft visits tracker. Don't forget to get your questions submitted to us for our mailbag, our final segment, hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. But draft visits coming up next. Yes, sir. And if I'm taking too long getting into names, feel free to swap out sub and PrizePicks of their location. Yes. 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 Gerard. Yes. Okay. Lichtenhahn. 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 Lick. Emphasis on lick. Okay. Good work. Good work. Thanks for looking that up. Yes. All right. Without further ado, let's get to our second segment. Let's talk draft visits, and then we'll get to the depth chart. And then after that, we will get to our Q&A mailbag. More to come as we continue in this live edition of the Chiefs Report. I'll take another drink of water, and then we'll get going here with our second segment. Glad to have you with us. Tyler Jones, Big Tex here with you. Let's continue talking draft visits right now here on the Chiefs Report. Here we go. The countdown to the 2025 NFL Draft is on. Today's edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, we got some details for you on the top 30 visits for the Kansas City Chiefs ahead of the NFL Draft of some notable rookies that are going to make their way to Kansas City to meet with Brett Veach and Andy Reid and company to discuss the prospects of them potentially being drafted by the Chiefs. We'll tell you the names we know and catch you up to speed in just a matter of moments. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Before we go any further in today's show, if you want the Chiefs to have a great draft, I need you to like today's video. The more likes we get, the more it helps out the Chiefs have a great draft. Here's the deal, folks. 500 likes, it's going to be a great draft. I can promise you that much. 500 likes, you're going to be very pleased with this draft. Hit that like button. We appreciate it. We'll get going here on today's show. Here we go, folks. Let's get started with the visits tracker as Aireontae Ersery. Aireontae Ersery is the first name on the list, and he's probably the biggest name of the players we're talking about today. We're going to go more in depth and in more detail on Aireontae Ersery in just a bit, the offensive tackle from Minnesota. And my guy Joel Klatt, and I know Big Tex is a big Joel Klatt fan as well, he actually has the Chiefs projected to take Aireontae Ersery with their first-round pick at 31 overall. So the fact that they're visiting, and we already got mock drafts out there connecting the two, I think that's very, very important, folks. So we'll talk more about him coming up later on in the show. Anthony Belton, the offensive tackle from NC State. He's a guy that's starting to climb up some boards a bit. He's a name to watch, and I don't think he's a first-round guy, but could be a day 2 or maybe even day 3 potentially. Name to watch there. Then another name, Mose Vaveo, the offensive lineman from Fresno State, also taking a visit. And then from Washington State, we have Essa Pohl, the offensive lineman there. You may be noticing a theme at this point. A lot of offensive linemen the Kansas City Chiefs are putting their focus on. And then we got a KU guy. A little rock chalk action, like seeing this. Bryce Cabledew, also on the list, the offensive lineman from the University of Kansas, getting a look. A lot of good KU players in this draft, by the way. You guys know I'm a KU guy. Got to represent. I love Devin Neal and Kobe Bryant, Mello Dotson. Now Bryce getting a look as well. That's cool to see. Another one for you, Gerard Christian Lichtenhahn, the offensive tackle from Oregon State, also on this list as well. And then we have Melvin Smith Jr. from Southern Arkansas. If you haven't heard of Southern Arkansas University, that's okay. And then one more for you. Caleb Etienne, the offensive tackle from BYU. So all in all, on this list, so far of the 8 names we know, only one of them is not an offensive lineman. That being this guy here, Melvin Smith Jr. He's a corner. Everyone else an offensive lineman. That seems to be the area of focus for the Kansas City Chiefs here to this point. Who is a player you would like to see the Chiefs draft? We've gone over several names that the Chiefs are speaking to. Weigh in, let us know a player that comes to mind that you'd like to see end up in Kansas City here in 2025. We are covering everything when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. Draft, free agency, trades. We're bringing you breaking news, whether it's a video from here in the studio or at my house in the Jones Zone. We're all over it here on the channel. You got to be subscribed. We are your off-season headquarters for all things Kansas City Chiefs. Subscribe now for free. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. Stay up to date. We got you covered each and every day on the channel. Subscribe now. You'll be glad you did. All right, let's talk now about Aireontae Ersery, the offensive tackle from Minnesota. And you can see why his stock is rising and why he's being mentioned as a potential first-round pick for the Kansas City Chiefs, as he was named the Big Ten's Offensive Lineman of the Year in 2024. And to kind of get perspective on this, folks, the offensive lineman in the Big Ten, those are some big hog mollies up there. So the fact that he was named the best of the best, all right, that's against some good competition and facing some good defenses there. First team All Big Ten selection. His grades from Pro Football Focus. So to kind of give people an idea here for a moment. Usually the grades, if you want to compare college to NFL, you kind of subtract 10 from each category to get an NFL idea of what those grades are. So you see the grades, and overall is 77.5. Pass block grade is 77.3, and a run block grade is a 73.6. If you want to put an NFL perspective on that, that would be about a 67.5 overall grade, a 67.3 pass block grade, and a 63.6 run block grade. So you get the idea that he's good in those categories, but not necessarily great according to the nerd numbers, and that might be what's holding him back I do like that he only allowed 1 sack and only got called for 3 penalties, so that's the silver lining there on that front. The scouting report, he's got a powerful punch. He's got good arm length. Size matters, my friends. Clear eyes and awareness as well. Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose. Solid athletic ability, but he can be a bit tardy when it comes to his striking times. He can be a little bit late. Kind of reminds me of Kingsley in that sense. That was one of his problems this past year as he was trying to become the starting left tackle for the Chiefs. So what do you think about the idea of drafting Aireontae Ersery? You got 2 options here. Type D for draft, P for pass. Write in the comments section. Let us know if the Chiefs should draft him or not. Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. PrizePicks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. At PrizePicks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports. Combine your favorite basketball players with players from baseball, hockey, esports, and much more. The app is really easy to use to create a lineup. All you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. The big dance going on this week in the NCAA tournament. I got Cooper Flagg to have more than half a point. That's a freebie there. Mark Sears, I'll go with less than 20.5. If I put $20 down and this hits, that turns into $60 on PrizePicks. Play along with me, prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. PrizePicks, run your game. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. So I want to go through a couple more players here in just a moment, but I think it's very obvious to everyone watching here that offensive line is of high interest right now, and it rightfully should be. It's the number one priority, I think, for this Kansas City Chiefs team of what they need to address. Here's a couple more players that stood out to me. Let's start with Anthony Belton here out of NC State. Overall grade, 73.7. Pass block grade, outstanding, an 87.2. Run block grade is 69.4. So if you want to wait on him and take him later, he's not a bad option. I would like to see him cut back on the penalties there a bit with 8 total penalties. Another guy I like, Caleb Etienne, offensive tackle from BYU. Began his career with the Oklahoma State Cowboys, then played the last 2 seasons with Brigham Young with the Mormons. He was a first-team All-Big 12 selection in 2024. Phil Still named him as an All-American honorable mention. So with all that said, even with Kansas City picking at the end of the round for most of these picks, there are still plenty of options. They're looking for offensive linemen. They're going to have their pick of offensive linemen. My concern, I'll end on this, folks, is kind of like what we saw last year with Kingsley when they picked him in the second round, was Kingsley wasn't ready, right? And we thought that he was. Andy thought that he was, but he clearly wasn't. What my concern is, by going with these offensive linemen, if you're not going to trade up potentially, can you find somebody that's ready to step in and play right away? Because that's what you're looking for, and that's what Brett Veach and company is going to have to figure out when it comes to these draft candidates of these offensive linemen, who is ready to go from day one. If you enjoyed today's show, hit the like button. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time here on the channel. All right. Halfway home, 2 segments down, 2 more to go. Who is a player you want the Chiefs to draft? Give me a name in the comments section that you would like to see. We also have our first Super Chat of the day as well. And this is a good mailbag question that we'll answer. Tony wants the Chiefs to get Matthew Golden. I know that would make Tex excited. Matthew Golden and Xavier Worthy together? Tex might have to get a jersey that's like both their numbers with both their names or something.
That would be sick. I would hang that on a wall. That'd be a man cave piece.
Let's see. Shad says James Pierce. I like James Pierce from Tennessee. I think that his stock has fallen a bit, but not justified. I think that he took on a lot of double teams this year. His numbers were down from what they were the previous year, but I think that has to do with just the attention he commanded there with that Tennessee team. Shad with a $2 super chat writes in, do you see KC giving Pacheco a long-term deal? I'll answer this more in depth coming up later, but Tex, I would say this when it comes to Pacheco. I like Isaiah Pacheco a lot. I'm a big fan of his. I love talking to him at the Super Bowl. He was one of my favorite players to interview. Had a great one-on-one interview. We brought you on this channel with him. But he didn't look the same after that injury last year. And I don't like the idea of giving long-term contracts to running backs. I could see Pacheco maybe coming back on a 1, maybe 2-year deal, then kind of being year to year. But if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, your best bet is to run Pacheco into the ground and move on from him eventually at some point until it costs you too much where it doesn't make sense, and then you go with a younger and cheaper running back option. I think that's your best plan of action as far as that goes. So it's nothing personal against Pacheco here, but I just don't think he fits into the long-term plans unless you have a Saquon Barkley or a Christian McCaffrey. I think, Tex, you don't need to pay running backs long-term unless you have that star, that superstar. Pacheco, he's good, but he's not a superstar.
He's not a superstar, and you can get someone in the draft in the 2nd or 3rd round at running back that'll be serviceable and comparable to what Pacheco is. Like, he's not Christian McCaffrey prime. He's not Saquon Barkley. Like, you can spend your money better elsewhere.
Yeah. Shad, thanks for that super chat. Much appreciated. The first super chat of the day. If you want to be like Shad and send in a super chat, then you can do so by clicking the $sign next to the chat box. First-time super chatters get the KC chant. $5 will do a beer cheers. $10 take some shots. $20 get bean boozled. $50 we will do a beer bong in all its glory. $sign next to the chat box if you would like to contribute. Up next, let's take a look at the updated depth chart for your Kansas City Chiefs. We will go position by position. Every group, including special teams. Yes, even the special teamers. We will go through that, and then we'll do a Q&A mailbag as well. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of the show. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the depth chart. And I'll break that down for you as we continue with our third segment. We're to the third quarter of this live edition of the Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones, Big Tex here with you. Let's continue right now. We're going to do a little exercise here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. If the Chiefs season started today, what would the depth chart look like for the Kansas City Chiefs? Who would they roll out there? Obviously, we know there's going to be some changes between now and when the season starts because we still have the draft and still more free agents out there, some potential trades and all that. But let's see how this roster stacks up as is right now. We'll go over every single position group, even special teams, here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. We got challenged by the Raiders Report to get 1,000 likes on today's show. Mitchell Renz, great guy, great friend. I love Mitch. But he said that, Tyler, there's no way you guys can get 1,000 comments on today's video. Chiefs Kingdom, they're nothing like Raider Nation. And I said, well, Mitch, first off, you're wrong. I know Chiefs Kingdom is always up for a challenge, and they're not going to take too kindly of Raider Nation calling us out. So, folks, can you back me up on this one? Can you back me up on this one and stick it to Mitchell Renz? Can we get 1,000 comments on today's video? Spam C. Let's get 1,000 of them in there. Stick it to the Raiders Report, and we'll get started with today's show. So, folks, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over the depth chart and break it down piece by piece. I'll share my thoughts. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We begin with the quarterback position, which has undergone some massive changes. Patrick Mahomes, QB1, shocker. But we start to see some change behind him. Gardner Minshew, your new QB2. Bailey Zappi, your QB3. And Chris O is your QB4. Minshew Mania, baby. That's the story of this position group. We haven't really talked a ton about Gardner Minshew outside of the video when he signed. But I got to tell you, I'm excited about Gardner Minshew being the backup quarterback here. He's played in this division. He's played at a high level before. Had a really good year just a couple years ago with the Indianapolis Colts, filling in as their starter after Anthony Richardson went down. They almost made the postseason. If, God forbid, something happens to Patrick Mahomes, the season isn't over. All right? Gardner Minshew still gives you a chance to win. If he needs to make a spot start here and there, he's more than capable. I'm glad to have Minshew Mania here in KC. The running back position looks a little different for the Chiefs as well. Isaiah Pacheco returns, as does Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's got a new deal. Elijah Mitchell is now in town as he comes over from the San Francisco 49ers. The Chiefs have some ideas in mind potentially for him. Carson Steele is back, although there's a lot of rumblings that he's fighting for his job, that he could be cut in the roster cuts when we narrow this down to 53. And Ingram is there as well. I don't think they're done at the running back position. I think the Chiefs are going to grab up a day 3 running back, somebody late in the draft. Remember, Pacheco was a late-round draft pick. I think that they're going to find somebody to kind of groom to maybe be the starter eventually at some point. And there's been some rumblings that Pacheco and Hunt kind of fell out of grace with Andy Reid last year. And they're not getting any younger here. So watch out for that. More changes, more help is on the way, I think, at the running back spot here in the coming weeks ahead. How would you grade the Chiefs' depth chart all the way through? We'll go over everything here in just a bit, but want to hear from you guys. How would you grade the depth chart? A, B, C, D, or F? It's our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in and let us know what your grade is. The wide receiver position for the Chiefs. It looks pretty good, but it's only going to look so good for so long, potentially. We don't know. Is Rashee Rice going to get healthy? Is he going to be suspended? Is Xavier Worthy going to be suspended? Marquise Brown, is he going to stay healthy? What are we going to get out of Juju Smith-Schuster? And then the rest of the guys I can't count on at all here. I still think you need to grab up one more receiver, whether that's in free agency, a trade, or the draft. I think you still need one more quality receiver. I think this is a good group, but it's not a great group. The wide receiver room right now is much better than what it was 2 years ago, but there's still more work to be done. I think Brett Veach is going to go find him another receiver to add to this group and try to put this team in a really good spot. The tight end room for Kansas City, Travis Kelce is back. What many believe will be his last go-round with the Kansas City Chiefs. Noah Gray also making a return after a breakout season. And I got to tell you, don't sleep on Jared Wiley. We didn't see much of Jared Wiley as he had that ACL injury as a rookie in 2024. But I think Jared Wiley has more potential to be the actual replacement for Travis Kelce than Noah Gray does. I think Noah Gray is as good as any number 2 tight end in the league, right up there with Isaiah Likely in Baltimore. But I can't imagine him being more than a number 2 tight end. I think Jared Wiley has a chance to potentially be that Kelce replacement. And remember, the comps to him coming out of college were to Travis Kelce. So watch out. Jared Wiley, I think, could have a breakout season this year. The offensive line, been a big topic of discussion in the Chiefs' kingdom for well over a year now. You have a new starting left tackle. Jalen Moore comes over from the San Francisco 49ers. Kingsley's expected to slide over to the left guard position. Creed Humphrey, the best center in football, is back as he's got that new contract he signed back in August. Trey Smith, man, we're glad to have him back with that franchise tag. And then Jawan Taylor is also back at the right tackle position as well. As of right now, that would be your starting 5 on the offensive line. I still think you need some guard help. I haven't given up on Kingsley, but I'm not overly optimistic about Kingsley, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I would like to see the Chiefs draft a quality guard in the first or second round to compete with Kingsley for that starting left guard spot. Let the best man win. And at the very least, you add some depth and you feel a lot more comfortable about that left guard spot. I think that's what the Chiefs need to do. Do you trust the Chiefs' offensive line? We know they got some good players. Creed and Trey are as good as any players at their position. But you got some major question marks at the left guard spot. And what about Jalen Moore, too? In the small sample size, he's been really good. But can he do that for 17 games plus? I don't know. Do you trust the offensive line? Y for yes, in for no. Get in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Chiefs Polos are on sale now for up to 50% off. Chatsports.com/Chiefs Polos is where you can get yours today. We got the gray. We got the stripe. We got the red version. And right now, up to 50% off while supplies last. What are you waiting for? Take advantage of this great offer, my friends. Chatsports.com/Chiefs Polos. Other Chiefs merchandise also available at that same link. Chatsports.com/Chiefs Polos to get yours today. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. That's chatsports.com/Chiefs Polos to get yours now. To the defensive line, we go. George Karlaftis, Chris Jones, 2 stars on the defensive line. Mike Pennell is back. We found that out this week after he had arguably the best season of his career. Mike Dana also in the mix. Still waiting on King Felix to emerge. Charles Omenihu is also back. I liked what Omenihu did when he made his return to the Kansas City Chiefs off of injury. I would say there's some depth concerns, though. You brought in Jerry Tillery. I don't know how well Jerry Tillery is going to play. Felix, this is year 3 now. It's put up or shut up time. You either got to shit or get off the pot. I don't know what he's going to do. I have some concerns there when it comes to depth, but we'll see how it all plays out. The linebacker spot for the Chiefs. Nick Bolton is back. Drew Tranquill is back. Leo Chanel is also back, among others here. A very good group. And I'm excited about Nick Bolton. You get him the new contract, and this is really just the start of his prime years with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Nick Bolton is going to have a fantastic year, and you're going to see him look like one of the best corners, one of the best linebackers in all of football. And I think that the Chiefs are going to be very pleased, very excited that they signed him to that new deal, that it's going to be well worth their money on that front. The corner position. Now we have a couple of changes here. Listen closely here, folks. Here's what I'm talking about. So we know that Christian Fulton comes over from the LA Chargers, all right? But here's what I'm expecting to change now, all right? Listen closely. Trent McDuffie, I think, is going back to the nickelback position. It is not a demotion, all right? Let's make that clear. This is not a demotion for Trent McDuffie at all. What you're doing is you're maximizing his talent and his capabilities. I think he's at his best when he plays the nickelback position. Jalen Watson gets to remain a starter. You go with Watson and Fulton as your outside corners. McDuffie at the nickel spot. You got some decent depth now with Johnson and Williams and Connor and among others here. I would say, folks, when I look at this corner room, as the great Shrek once said, it's similar to onions. They're like layers. I like the layers that are in this corner room for this Kansas City Chiefs team. If there's an injury, if something happens to McDuffie or one of these other guys like Watson. Watson, of course, got banged up and missed a lot of last year. You got guys that can step in now. This was a depth problem in 2024. It won't be a depth issue in 2025, and you might have more corners on the way through the draft. Who is your new favorite Chiefs player on the roster? We mentioned a new one there in Fulton, and there's some other names that are out there. Who is your favorite new player on the Chiefs roster? Give me a name in the comment section and let us know. Got some more changes for you here. Let's go to the safeties room now, where after the departure of Justin Reed, Jaden Hicks, after a very good rookie season, the fourth rounder out of Washington State. He would be your starting strong safety right now next to Brian Cook. Now, we'll see if Kansas City makes any investments, any changes, but for now, it seems like Hicks is going to hold that spot. Bush and Taylor also there as well. I'm very optimistic about Jaden Hicks. I was impressed with the job that he did in 2024. I hope he's ready to take on this larger role. And I would say that I would like to see the Chiefs go get another safety. That way they can feel comfortable with Hicks, have some insurance, but also have some flexibility to play three safeties if they want to in Spags' defense. So that's what I'm looking at. I hope Hicks is ready, and hopefully we get some flexibility there. The special teams unit, everyone's most exciting, most intriguing special teams unit. Some would call it the most controversial special teams unit in the NFL. Harrison Butker is back after a great season. Matt Ariza, known as the punt god, he's also returning. James Winchester, my guy, friend of the show, James Winchester. He's got a new contract. He returns, one of the best long snappers in football. And Nico is your primary return man right now with Carson Steele backing him up as well. I think this is the best special teams unit in the NFL. I really do believe that. Harrison Butker is the most accurate kicker in the league. Matt Ariza's got the strongest leg. James Winchester is a hell of a long snapper. I mean, what you're asking for from your special teams unit is not to cost you games, not to make mistakes. And what you actually have is a special teams unit that's not going to cost you games, but actually can be a difference maker in helping you win games. And that's huge for this Kansas City Chiefs team. How would you grade the Chiefs depth chart? Now that we've gone through every single position group, what do you think? A, B, C, D, or F. Get your grades in the comments section. Your chance to be the teacher and let us know here on the Chiefs Report. For more Chiefs coverage, you already know what to do. Follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Tyler Jones Live for more Chiefs coverage. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right. There we go. Final segment up next. It is our mailbag. Grade the Chiefs depth chart A, B, C, D, or F. Yeah, we had a super chat come in. Slam and Sam says, why isn't Connor starting? I told you why Connor's not starting, because Fulton's starting. Fulton's starting and McDuffie's moving to nickel, so Connor is going to be a backup. But he'll still see the football field plenty. He'll stay up plenty. Get your grades in. Paul says A, Terrence says B, Dakota says B, Tony says A+, Guillermo says B, Tony says A+, Slavin Sim says B, Richard says B, JJ says B. All right, we got a $5 super chat. This one coming in from Buck and Bob, Take on Chiefs Kingdom Podcast. What a name. Love the show. Love the show. Tyler's voice is the best in the Chiefs Kingdom. I appreciate that. I'll give you a beer cheers for that. That's the 20th super chat that Buck and Bob, Take on Chiefs Kingdom Podcast has sent in. Cheers to you, Buck and Bob. Buck, yeah. Woo! Thanks for that. Thanks for sending in the super chat. Salute to you, my guy. If you want to be like Buck and Bob and send us a super chat, $sign next to the chat box. First-time super chatters get the KC chant. $5 do a beer cheers. $10 take some shots. $20 get bean boozled. $50 we will do a beer bong. Tex, could we use some more questions for the mailbag? All right, we're doing great. Okay. Oh, yeah. Good looks. If you got a question for the mailbag, use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. We're going to jump into our mailbag segment here in just a moment, and that'll be our final segment of the day as we enter the fourth quarter of today's show. Tony, you are in the mailbag, my friend. We will answer your question along with the other questions. And that first Super Chat that came in from Shad, that can be in the mailbag too. Yep. The one about Pacheco? Yep, that can be a mailbag question. Cool. All right, Tex says we're good on questions. Appreciate y'all for not making me wait. that we can go ahead and get started with this mailbag edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Our final segment, and then we'll wrap up and call it a day here on today's show. Tyler Jones, Big Tex here with you. Mailbag time. Let's get right to it. Our final segment starting right now, fourth quarter. Here we go. It is mailbag time here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. It is time to answer your news and rumors mailbag questions. Particularly today, I got some trades that people are asking me about. From Garrett Wilson to the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. We'll dive into those as well as what other questions you guys have for me. Let's go ahead and get started. Shad with a $2 super chat writes in, do you see KC giving Pacheco a long-term deal? I do not, Shad. Let me explain what I mean by that. Pacheco had a down year last year, got banged up. When he returned from injury, he didn't look like the same player that he was prior to that. So there is some concerns about if he will get back up to full speed of what he was previously. So that's number one. Number two, unless you have a Saquon Barkley or a Christian McCaffrey type, I don't like the idea of giving long-term contracts to running backs in today's NFL. I think that's just bad business, in all honesty. And I think with Pacheco, let's say he has a good year this year, then maybe you sign him to a one-year deal or a two-year deal, and you maximize what you can out of him. But your best route of action, typically speaking, when it comes to the running back position, is to run these guys into the ground and then eventually replace them with rookies that are younger, got fresher legs, and are cheaper. And Pacheco, I think he could be around here when his contract's up for another year or two. But beyond that, I would be shocked. I would be surprised if he is here any longer than that. I think that's the reality for him at this point in time. I like Pacheco, but he's not an elite running back. He's a very good running back, but he's not an elite. I don't think he justifies a long-term contract at this point. Folks, I need you not only to subscribe, but also turn on notifications and join what we call the Noti Gang around here. They're the first to know when we have new content here on the channel, like when we're doing these live shows where we're answering these mailbag questions. We do them each and every Tuesday. And the people that have their notifications turned on, they're the first to know when we have new content on the channel, when we go live, when we have breaking news. So make sure you subscribe and you turn on notifications and join the Noti Gang. Best part about it, 100% free. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. Hit that Noti bell. If you're part of the Noti Gang, spam Noti Gang in the comments section. We appreciate y'all. Tony, you got in the mailbag. You're there. All right? You're there. Hashtag Chiefs. Tyler, left guard concerns me a bit. What can KC draft at the left guard spot? Tony, excellent question. Excellent question, Tony. Tex is proud of you. What can they draft at the left guard spot? Well, there's a couple ideas. In the first round, two names to watch. Tyler Booker from Alabama. He is the best natural guard in this draft. I don't know if he'll be available at 31, but he's a possibility. Kelvin Banks, our own Jack Sperry, friend of the show. He put out a mock draft a couple days ago. He had the Chiefs taking Kelvin Banks at 31, and there's talk that he might convert from tackle over to guard at the next level, so that could be a way they do it. Also like the Ratledge kid, Tate Ratledge from Georgia. He's a possibility. I think you got some good guard options. And we've talked about this previously. I have my concerns about Kingsley after how rough of a showing he had last year. The guard position should be easier for him to play, but I don't think we should go into 2025 dead set on Kingsley being your starting left guard. I think it would be wise to have some competition, whether it's one of those guys we mentioned or somebody else out there to compete with him for that left guard spot. And then if you do that, I think you're feeling pretty good about your offensive line situation. Chiefs fan for life writes in, could the Chiefs trade for Garrett Wilson? Ooh, Garrett Wilson, the New York Jets receiver. Jets are kind of in fire sale mode at this point in time. Aaron Rodgers, of course, leaving. Davante Adams is gone. Garrett Wilson is one of the best receivers in football. He's had 3 straight years of over 1,000 yards. He had arguably his best season yet this past year, even with sharing receptions with Davante Adams. Still had over 100 catches, 1,100 yards, and 7 touchdowns. I would love Garrett Wilson, but the price tag is going to be very high, and you're going to have to extend him as well. As much as I would love to have Garrett Wilson, I just feel like that's unlikely at this point that Kansas City can find a way to bring Garrett Wilson in. But we'll see. We've seen some crazy things happen before. If you add Garrett Wilson to this offense, you should be scoring 40 points a game. I mean, for real. With those receivers and adding Garrett Wilson, it'd be game over for everybody else. Should the Chiefs trade for Garrett Wilson? You're probably going to have to give up a first-round pick. Don't like that. Weigh in. T for trade, P for pass. Get your votes in the comment section on our pinned comment today. Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, home runs in baseball, all sorts of different categories to choose from. PrizePicks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. On PrizePicks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports. Combine your favorite basketball players with players from baseball, hockey, esports, and much more. The app is really easy to use. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly with promo code CLNS after you play your first $5 lineup. The big dance going on. And the other day I went with Cooper Flagg to have more than half a point. Mark Sears to have less than 20.5 points. Let's say that hit. $20, boom, just like that turns into $60. Play along with me, PrizePicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. PrizePicks, run your game. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. PrizePicks, proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Penno Fire and Carvings writes in, what do you think are the chances to get Luther Burden? So a lot of people here, I'm sure, are very familiar with Luther Burden, the Mizzou wide receiver. And I don't know why necessarily, but his stock is falling. The so-called experts have him outside the first round now. And if you're telling me he's available in round 2 and I could shore up the offensive line in round one, then that's really good for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that would make a ton of sense. He does have short arms. People have been saying he has small hands. But I still think there's more good than bad when it comes to Luther Burden. I'd be open to the conversation. I think Luther Burden would be a good fit. Kingdom Come says, could the Chiefs make a trade for Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, coming back to Kansas City? So let me say this. I really loved Tyrann Mathieu when he was here in Kansas City. I think he's going to be in the Ring of Honor someday. He had a great run with this team, helping them, win a Super Bowl. He was a great leader. He was well-liked. I think he was one of the fan favorites for this Chiefs team. But he didn't necessarily leave on the best of terms from the Kansas City Chiefs. And here's what I mean, folks. Remember when he left in free agency? He intentionally signed later so the Chiefs could not get a comp pick for him because he was mad the Chiefs weren't bringing him back. So I don't know if the Honey Badger wants to come back to Kansas City. He's back home in New Orleans. He's from Louisiana. I know that team's bad, but at least he's getting to play for his hometown team. I don't think the need at safety is as big as people think. I like Jaden Hicks. Tyrann Mathieu still playing very well at this point in his career. But I would be surprised. I would be surprised if they made a trade to bring back the Honey Badger. But Andy Reid and Brett Veach, they do like themselves some reunions, and they've been open to some reunions. So I would say no, but I wouldn't completely rule it out. Should the Chiefs bring back the Honey Badger? Y for yes, N for no. Get your votes in the comments section. What do you think? Do you like the idea or do you hate the idea of bringing Tyrann Mathieu back? Time for a couple more questions. Let's go to Shad here with a question. He says, #Chiefs, looking to next offseason, do you see KC picking up the fifth-year option on Felix? Hell no! What has he done to earn the fifth-year option? Former first-round pick. We're all excited, right? That draft was in Kansas City at Union Station. And the fan base was super pumped that you took a local kid from K-State. All the hype was there. What are the results? Now, with that said, you might bring him back after the fourth year, but not on a fifth-year contract. His level of play, unless he takes this massive step up this season, which is possible, like his value of what he's actually worth compared to players on their fifth-year contracted position isn't going to be any close. You can bring him back for much cheaper than giving him the fifth-year contract. No way. Hell no is Felix getting a fifth-year contract. It's sad to say, but he's been one of the most disappointing draft picks in Brett Veach's recent memory, and Brett Veach has done a pretty good job in the draft. Last one. Paul writes in, draft, South Carolina safety, Nick Imanwari. I like Nick, but no way he's going to be available at 31. Unless you're wanting to trade up for him. That ain't happening. Maybe they trade up for him, but he's not going to be available at 31, Paul. I hate to break it to you. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. For continuing Chiefs coverage, subscribe now. Turn on notifications at youtube.com/ChiefsTV. I'm Tyler Jones. Peace. All right. Who's a player you want the Chiefs to draft? Weigh in, let us know. Tony says, had fun, Tyler. Doing my cardio now. Go Chiefs. I love it. I love it. There's Super Chat menu. First time Super Chat is get the KC chant. $5 do a beer cheers. $10 shots. $20 get Bing Boozle. $50 do a beer bong. Tex, final thoughts before we wrap up today. We covered a lot of territory. Free agency, draft, some trade ideas. Any thoughts from Big Tex here?
I thought you covered a lot of bases. I thought the audience got a full picture of Chiefs Kingdom and kind of where their team's at, where do they need to go in terms of their roster and the teams.
I know you got excited about that Matthew Golden suggestion.
I did.
We did a video on that the other day.
That's true. Matthew Golden's nice, and he would pair well with Xavier Worthy. They're two completely different kinds of wide receivers, and I think they would make a great complement to each other in Kansas City. We'll see what they do, though.
I saw your guy Bond.
Oh, yeah, Isaiah
Bond, in his pro day today, somebody at UT was helping him on the clicker. He got a little faster 40 time than he did at the combine. Still didn't come close to Xavier's time, though.
Yeah, no chance. I knew as soon as he bragged about it, there's no chance he was going to get it. It's always the ones that talk the loudest and are the least humble. They're the ones that never live up to the expectation or standard that they were setting with that gloating or bragging or whatever.
I would guess it's going to be a while. Somebody, just human nature. Humans are getting faster and stronger. Mm-hmm. Somebody will break Xavier Worthy's 40 record at some point in time, but I don't think it's going to be for a while.
Yeah, it's going to take some time, hopefully. I'd like to have that record stay in the Texas side of things for a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe another Texas player breaks it down the road.
That'd be cool.
But I think, in all honesty, Xavier's record, I think probably stands for another 5, 6, maybe 10 years. I think it's going to be a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Before somebody runs a 4.21 at the combine.
He's quick.
He is something else. We got to run. Appreciate y'all joining us. More coverage on the channel throughout the coming days ahead. Subscribe now. Stay up to date with everything on your Kansas City Chiefs. For Big Tex, I'm Tyler Jones. Have a great night, everybody. So long.